Hello, and welcome to the All-Star Sales Call March Madness edition. I'm Mike the Muscle Scott.
And I'm Rick Rain Man Dengrado. We're coming to you live from Chicago, giving you the team profiles of those in the Sweet 16 and our predictions for who's going to make it to the Elite 8. But of course, we have to kick this call off by talking about top net sales and top net sales volume for February. So for top net sales, third place from Boise, Idaho, we have Sandy Clancy with 8 net sales.
Good job, Sandy.
Second place, Tyler Eberhardt from Challenger Homes, Colorado Springs with 11 net sales. And you knew it was coming. It's been all over the portal. Pam Jennings with 13 net sales from Mungo Homes, Greenville, South Carolina. Astounding numbers for February. Great job, guys.
Awesome. And for sales volume, Rick, it looks like we have a Challenger Homes trifecta.
Ooh, the sweep.
The sweep. In third place, we have Devin Jones, and he sold $2.2 million. In second place, we have Preston Hoke, who sold $2.3 million. And finally, in first place, we have Tyler Eberhardt, who sold $3.2 million.
My goodness. Nice job, Tyler. Absolutely amazing. All right, guys, we're going to kick it off now by breaking down the team bios of those in the Sweet 16.
Rick, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Our first matchup, we have E2 TNT, led by James Moore, against E3 Gulf Coast Closers, led by the Ray Flores. Rick, who do you have?
Well, first of all, the Gulf Coast Closers are giving me a real tongue twister. So you know they're made of the real material. They came out swinging this first week, I think, to close out Heather Hayner's team down in Jacksonville. They were at 171% of goal. So my question for them is, do they have the juice to keep going past the Sweet 16 into the Elite 8? They do have some amazing team members down there, a lot of Mensa and LDP folks. But also up in North Tampa under James Moore, you have Cy Delakia, who had 2 sales of the 3 that happened last week, as well as Kyle Verbeek, who's LDP, and Catherine Bear-Sanchez, who I don't know if you've been on the Sammy portion of the portal recently. She's all over it, driving that direct traffic like you wouldn't believe it.
Awesome. And you're absolutely right. And the nice thing about these 2 teams, one, they're both Miranda teams, and 2, we have 2 new directors, and this is their first March Madness competition. They both started in November, and I think you were absolutely right. In North Tampa, they have James, but they have Kyle, who moved to Tampa from Chicago and is an LDP, and he is a competitive son of a gun.
He really is.
And then in South Tampa, like you said, we have Odu, who's an LDP. We have Wendy, who's in Mensa. And don't forget the newcomer, Ahmed, who is crushing it after sales training. And then you can't forget about Eddie as well. This is going to be a tough matchup.
It'll be quite the showdown. And of course, Odu always reminds me of the Salt and Pepper song Shoop, because here he goes, here he goes, here he goes again. We don't know how you do the voodoo that you do, Odu, but we know you're going to pull out some sales this week. So, Mike, who do you have going on to the next round between these 2?
That is a great question. It's hard for me to choose, but I am going with James Moore and TNT. How about you?
I think I'm going to have to second that notion and put James Moore moving forward to the next round. We're very excited to see what happens coming into the Elite 8. Next up, we have the E5 Wildcats, coached by Nathan Hamilton as well as Jennifer Fincham, going against the Coastal Closers, led by Coach Leslie Tobis. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, man. This is a tough one for me. For E5 Wildcats, you have a team that's brand new to New Homestar. They started in February, but the thing that I look at is the leadership. We have Nate Hamilton, who made it to the finals last year. Unfortunately, he did lose, but you know he's coming back for vengeance. Along with Jennifer Fincham, who works day and night. And the nice thing about this duo is that they have a great relationship with the division president there, George. And you know George is trying to do everything he can to win as well. You go on the flip side, Rick, and you have Leslie Tobis, and this is the team that brought it home last year. They were Vegas bound, and they went to Vegas.
They absolutely did.
So with that, the nice thing about that too is Rob. Rob came to Cancun. Rob loves New Homestar, and Rob wants to win. So it is going to be a battle until the last day. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely believe that it's going to come down to what the builders help to push through. Like you said, Rob and George, very New Homestar focused. They help out in any way that they can. Leslie Tobis' team was only at, I believe, 73% of goal last week, because I know they were going up against their own Melbourne team. So I'm not implying anything, but maybe they have some things kind of in the bag for this week, if you know what I'm saying.
Now, what kind of bag are you talking? Are you talking gravel or maybe sand in the bag?
It could be any of those granular activities or materials. We don't really know yet, but we'll see how we come out this week. But they do have an amazing team, amazing support system. They have Brooke, each of them writing 2 deals last week, so we'll definitely have to see what they have ready coming up against the Wildcats.
So, Rick, the question is, Who do you have winning this matchup?
Well, I made the awful mistake of not predicting Leslie's team to go forward before, so I'm going to have to go Leslie Tovis moving into the Elite Eight. What about you?
Smart move. However, I'm going with the Cinderella team. I'm going Nate Hamilton and Jennifer Fincham.
Well, could that be because you just moved to Orlando and that's where they're based out of?
Possibly.
A little bit biased. We don't really know.
Who knows? Matchup number 3, it's M2, Ramrod coming at you, led by Austin Roth, a.k.a. Ric Flair.
Woo!
Against M4, Colorado Avalanche, led by Mike D'Amato. Now, Rick, I didn't know there was an NHL hockey team in the March Madness bracket.
Well, I don't really understand sports, but I would assume that hockey team is just as irrelevant as any hockey team in a March Madness basketball bracket. Maybe because they didn't turn in their team name, so we chose one for them.
Wow.
But we do have the Colorado Avalanche, coached by Mike D'Amato, with a lot of star-studded cast on there. You have Mike Bell, who slings deals like it is his job, probably because it is. He's a sales associate. But you have Marcellus Tatum, Terry Adams, Cheryl Jelinek, as well as Amber, hitting 67% of goal last week. The question is, can they beat out the 183% of goal that Austin's team hit last week?
That's a great question, and I'm looking at the roster right now, Rick, and I am just seeing some stud performers. The first name that comes to my mind is Dwayne Cunningham. He is a sales manager currently and was in Mensa. We have Emily Vazaturo, who is in Mensa.
Yep.
We have Chris Doherty, who has been here for 3+ years. And then we have the newcomers. We have David Martin, Devin Jones, and Brandon Montalvo. Just looking at this lineup for Colorado Springs, I don't see how they can be beat.
I agree, and also we heard Devin Jones' name on the top net sales volume at the beginning of this call. So, Mike, who do you have moving into the Elite Eight from this round?
That's a great question, Rick. I'm going to go with what I just said, and I'm going Team Ramrod coming at you.
I think this Ramrod is also coming at you. I also have Austin Roth moving into this next round. This next matchup is between the Cold Cruise crew, led by Nick Czar, against the Relocators, coached by Jennifer Mencias out in the Midwest. Mike, what are your thoughts on these?
Great question. I'm going to refer to the Cold Cruise crew, tongue twister, as the Triple C. What I'm looking at here, the Triple C led by Nick Czar. First of all, Nick Czar was director of the quarter in Q4.
He was.
So he knows what he's doing. And I'm looking at the team here. We have Jim Bretner, who started with us when we got William Ryan Homes, Arizona. And he's been nominated for Rockstar multiple times so far in 2018. But then you got folks like Michael Coppers, who is an LDP. You have Jessica Chisholm, who's in Mensa. And, we can't forget about Joe Rubalcaba and Jonathan Perez, which I heard Jonathan Perez, he went to college at Elmhurst College.
Ooh, I heard that's a great school, one of the best in the country for sure.
Me too.
Wonderful.
Yeah, right? What do you think? What do you think about the Relocators?
I think the Relocators started off extremely strong. Rachel DiMaggio wrote 2 deals in one of our highest priced communities in the entire nation. Not an easy feat to do. The question is, can they continue to drive that urgency? Harrison, Michigan, ex-Navy, used to be a deep sea diver. You know that guy has the tenacity to keep driving no matter what adversity is faced against him. But like you said, the Cold Cruise crew, the Trip C, has an amazing team. Jonathan Perez, or JP as they call him, opened up a community recently and had 150 people come through in the first few hours alone. So you know that there's so much direct traffic going through there. They have steam like you wouldn't believe. So, Mike, given all that, who do you think is going to be advancing?
And this was a tough one for me. The Relocators have been balling it up. However, I'm going with the Trip C. I just don't think they can beat this round.
I think that they are absolutely itching to get on that Cold Crew cruise, so that they can make it out of that Phoenix heat. And I think they're going to do whatever it takes to get out of there.
So they're not going to go on a warm cruise if they win. They're going to go on a cold cruise.
Exactly.
Awesome, Rick. And really quickly here, I'm getting breaking information. I have Savannah Unterberg live from our corporate office with an awesome announcement. Savannah?
Thanks, Mike. Breaking news, this just in. The winner of the 2018 Tesla Clash of the Titans has been leaked. We are excited to be the first to announce the winner right here, right now. For the past 2 months, every division at New Homestar has been battling for the grand prize of this nail-biting competition, a Tesla Model S. Countless objection-handling videos were submitted, a mini game show was held for the selected finalists, and those who advanced completed a full role play. After this long journey, we have selected a winner through a combination of popular votes, a vote from our own founder, Dave Rice, and a panel of judges. It is my pleasure to congratulate our sales titan that will be driving away with the grand prize, Mark Keating. Congratulations, Mark, from all of us here at Corporate. This is Savannah Unterberg reporting live from Chicago. Back to you, Mike and Rick.
Thank you, Savannah, and congratulations, Mark.
All right, Mark.
That is awesome. Mark, next time I'm in Chicago, you better drive your butt down from Madison so we can ride in that Tesla, because I'm super excited. On to the next matchup, Rick. We have W1, Lake Carolina Heat, versus W4, the fourth guiding principle.
That's very confusing. They must have missed all of Sales 101 because I believe there's only 3 guiding principles.
Yeah,
I don't know
3.
if that might work against them. Who knows?
Weird.
Interesting. Coached by Dan White, the fourth guiding principle, has a star-studded cast. My concern is looking at the numbers here. They are a team who usually has the lowest amount of their monthly sales hit by the 15th of the month. There was once that they emailed saying they were at 7 net on the 15th and cranked out 25 more sales before the end of the month. Question is, will that happen here, and will that cause Lake Carolina to beat them out? Because when you said Lake Carolina Heat with that nice, fancy Southern drawl, because it's coached by Carol Dewis, the one and only, they also have an amazing team out there. They have Andy Brumbaugh putting up 2 sales. I believe he was also Mensa in one of our first classes. They have Team Donna, as well as, they have an amazing leader, and part of being a great leader is having a great cheerleader, and you can cheerlead through possibly ribbon dancing, one might say. Chase Burley, we're looking at you again. So they might be able to pull out those numbers and beat their sales to go percentage, which is what this game is all about, right?
You're absolutely right, and I think you had a good perspective on Lake Carolina. But I'm also looking at the fourth guiding principle and just looking at their personnel, Rick. It starts with Dan. Dan was originally from South Carolina, so you got that connection. How about that? But he got relocated to Idaho, and he hasn't really looked back. Just underneath him, you have Justine Jackson and Wilson Walters, who are in LDP. And then, Idaho has a lot of veterans on the team. You have Laney. You have Sandy Clancy, who was third in net sales this month.
Yep.
And then you have Adam Bracey. But don't forget about the newcomers. You have Chris Manger, who's doing a heck of a job, and Matthew Schoner.
Yeah.
And this is their first March Madness. So I think with the veteran leadership, they're really going to drive it home this week, even though they are a second half of the month type of team.
They really are, exactly. So, Mike, where does that put you? Who do you think is going to be advancing to the Elite 8?
I think, it's a hard one, but I am going with the fourth guiding principle.
Wow. I think I will also have to go with the incorrectly labeled fourth guiding principle. We think Dan White will be moving on to the Elite 8. Next up, we have W5, Oregon Sales Magic, coached by Reed Fisher, versus W8 SWAT, coached by Kristen Sweezy in South Washington. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, man, this is a tough matchup. First off, you have Oregon Sales Magic, and the Magic's in the air in Bend. You have Reed Fisher, who moved from Orlando all the way to Bend for the opportunity, and he loves it. And I'm looking at the team here. You have Heather Lowry, who's in Mensa. You have Lindsay Clausen, who's doing a great job. As well as the veterans, Linda Spittler and Michelle Webb. So that's a tough team to beat. But you're also going down to South Washington, led by Kristen Sweezy. And the first guy that I think of is Josh Gosney. I mean, the dude goes on vacation and comes back, and the first day gets 4 sales.
Must have been very refreshing for Josh Gosney.
Very. But then you go down the list, and you have Corrine and Sam and Whitney. And then you have Kasha, who is a new trainee. So it's going to be a tough matchup that's going to go down to the wire. Rick, what are your opinions?
It is going to be very close for sure. This is, like we said, not only Reed's first March Madness, but his first competition. He came in at the tail end of Cancun 500 last year. They put up 89% of goal. The question is, can they repeat that? Can they do better to beat out South Washington, who had 229% of goal? But like I said, Oregon Sales Magic, they have all the people you mentioned, plus Scott Sagar, who is just the inventory homes king. I remember him selling a ton of those at the end of 2017. But on the other side, Whitney put up 4 sales last week for South Washington. So it's going to be really tough. They're both driving sales like no other. So, Mike, who do you think's advancing?
Well, it looks like Oregon Sales is running out of magic because I am going with Team SWAT.
You know, it's interesting you say that because the T in SWAT stands for threat. And you know who I don't think is a threat?
Who?
Oregon Sales Magic. I think Kristen Sweezy's team will also be advancing to the very next round with
Right
the
on.
Elite Eight.
Right on. All right, now I'm announcing the matchup that is near and dear to my heart. And it's going to be tough because not only do you have two great directors, but you have two division presidents on the builder side that are in it to win it.
Absolutely.
The first team we have up is Greenville for the win, led by Cliff Foster, against Smells Like Team Spirit, led by the Corey McPherson. Rick, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that I'm not a fan of grunge, so Smells Like Team Spirit. Not crazy about the name, but not as unoriginal as Greenville FTW. Leaves a lot up for interpretation for what that could stand for. However, both directors coming out of selling from Greenville, you have Corey McPherson. They are known for squeezing deals out at the 11th hour. Always, I'm getting text and emails saying 10, 11, 11:30 p.m. We're finishing up the final contracts. So what can they do with that? You have Gary Sansucci, who's Mensa on that team as well, who released the Kraken, as he said. As soon as Steve Hammond, his trainee, got on the floor, he wrote a deal within hours.
Wow.
So it's going to be absolutely incredible to watch. What do you think?
That's a great question. On one hand, you have Greenville FTW, which Greenville, throughout our existence as New Home Star with them as a client, they have been spitting out leaders. For example, Corey McPherson. And in the prior matchup, we had Dan White.
Yep.
And another one is Cliff Foster, who is now the sales director there. So when I'm looking at their team, I'm seeing some veterans like Deanna Phillips, who is a selling sales manager who's been with us for 4+ years. You have Hank Axon, that is doing a heck of a job, and Jordan Layton. But don't forget about Josh Olson, Lawrence King, Grant Shirey, and Carson Glass.
He does two things every morning. He rises and he grinds. So we expect nothing less of you, Carson. So who do you think, based on all that information, who's advancing?
Well, see, and here's the tough thing, because I've been mulling this over in my head. And the reason why is because we have two division presidents that want to win, especially against each other. In Greenville, you have Tom Carroll, who has been a monster on the portal.
Absolutely.
But so has Andy Evans. And I've been talking with Corey, and Andy wants it and wants Mungo Homes, Alabama, to go far. So it's still kind of a toss-up for me. Let's get your thoughts first on who you think is going to win.
So this, like we said, was probably one of the toughest matchups we had to put up against one another, but we're excited to see who advances. However, I will have to say Greenville FTW stands for first to waver out of the Mungo competition, because I think Corey McPherson's team will be moving towards the Elite Eight. What do you think?
Wow. I'm going with Corey as well. However, I wouldn't be shocked if Cliff ended up winning.
Sounds a little wishy-washy, but I think that we'll move on from that. That's okay.
Okay, perfect.
And now we're going to cut to Taylor Hollop out in the field to discuss the consolation bracket. Taylor?
Thank you, Rick. And what an honor it is to be here to be able to announce this year's grand prize and the details for the consolation bracket. Now, today's extra special for me. I don't typically get the opportunity to say or do anything remotely close to exciting, to be honest. I typically operate in the shadows of guys like Dave Rice, Keith McKinney, Aaron Wagner, even Mary Lindemann, Jeff Menzel. While they're traveling the country, popping balloons and inspiring others, hyping up crowds, I'm stuck in the corporate office for 10 to 12 hours a day, drafting documents, filling out TPS reports, giving sad news to others. It's kind of sad, quite frankly. What's worse is I know for a fact, Rick and Mike, that you asked all of these people to make this announcement first before coming to me. So by default, you all get me to share this exciting news. But I digress. It has something to do with a lack of personality or energy. It doesn't matter at this point. Back to the March Madness bracket. The word consolation is derived from the word console, and Webster's dictionary defines the word consolation as a person or thing providing comfort to a person who has suffered. And despite what my wife says, I'd like to argue that I am that thing. And I am able to provide comfort to others. And I am in touch with my feelings. That's okay. Today is my day for redemption. I know you probably can't tell. I am very excited. I hung up the old suit and tie that I normally wear for this trendy and fun new Homestar branded windbreaker. How exciting. Here it goes. I can console those teams in the losers bracket. Nope. I can console the teams who didn't quite win in the first round of the tournament. And I come here bearing exciting news on what that grand prize is. The teams who did not win the first round can continue competing in the consolation bracket. And in fact, they can win a pretty awesome and amazing prize. This is my moment. This is my time. Confetti, please. Noisemaker. Okay, without further ado, I am very excited to announce that the winning team for this year's March Madness bracket will be given. Drum roll, please. Drum roll.
I made it. The prize is a 3-day VIP trip to Chicago. It's gonna be epic. Back to you, Rick.
I'm sure he's doing great. Okay, ready? Thanks, Taylor. And now for our final matchup, we have S6 Laskowski equals GOAT versus S7 7 Sector. I'm not really sure. It's kind of like how you say Kesha, K-E money sign, huh? I'm not really sure. Coached by Mike Kepanak. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
First of all, what's up with the name of the first team?
I don't know. They probably also didn't submit their team name on time, and so Chris might have taken some liberties with the name.
Interesting. I wonder how Matt feels about that.
Probably.
Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Laskowski equals GOAT. The nice thing about these two teams, Rick, is that they're new as well. They just started this year. But with Laskowski equals GOAT, you have a new Homestar veteran leading the team in Matt Esri. Matt was in our first LDP class, as well as worked in corporate. He's sold, and he has prior director experience.
Trifecta.
The trifecta. And in fact, I like to call him Captain Pile.
Why do you call him Captain Pile?
Because he's piling up the sales.
That's got to be what it is.
And then you go to your 7 sector team. It's also a new team, but it's also led by a veteran in Mike Kepanak. Mike was very successful as a selling sales manager for Challenger Homes, and so far he has been producing sales, for View Homes, Aspen View Homes.
Yes, absolutely. Mike Kepanak was one of our top sales volume producers in previous years, as well as while the entire View Homes team was at a retreat in Costa Rica, he stayed behind and actually wrote a couple of contracts while still in Colorado Springs, which is incredible. And then we have Matt Esri, like you said, the trifecta. He's hit everything. He's worked up and down the ladder, as well as he coached under Bobby Knight out in Indiana University. So do you think old Coach Knight would let him live it down if he didn't make it at least to the Elite Eight?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So, Mike, who do you have taking home the cake and moving on?
I guess the question is, who do you have?
Well, interesting to turn it back onto me, but I think that I'm going to have to go with the team where the director himself is selling homes. I'm going to put on Mike Kepanak. I'm sorry, can you explain it? Yep.
You're wrong.
Why am I wrong?
Because I'm going Bob Knight, I'm going Matt Esri, I'm going El Paso.
Flinging chairs left and right.
You're absolutely right with the chairs. Well, there you have it, Rick. Our predictions for this special edition of the All-Star Sales Call.
Absolutely. Be sure to tune in at 4 p.m. Central today to New Homestar's Facebook page to see the winners of the Sweet 16 and who advances onto the Elite 8. Thank you from all of us at New Homestar. I'm Rick, the Rain Man DeGrotto.
I'm Mike, the Muscle Scott. Have a great night, New Homestar. We have Savannah live from our corporate office. Savannah?
Cut. Back in 30.
Oh man, dude, we have about 30 seconds.
Oh, it's okay. That's plenty
we
of
gotta
time.
hurry.
Yep.
Well, I hope so. If I can freaking get mine open, that'd be nice.
How's living in Orlando?
Dude, it's pretty good.
Yeah?
It's freaking hot as oh god.
Man, that's well. Luckily, you came back to snow today. That's
Yeah, isn't that nice?
yeah.
So,
I'm sure that's super great.
yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be fine.
Nice. And then what
So-
time do you fly out?
9 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh, nice. That'll
Yep,
be fun. Maybe
so-
we go out and do something. Hit the town.
Yeah, right? Oh, we
Back
could
in 5,
Ooh, back in 5.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Savannah.
Matt Easy. Matt Isiri. Matt Ice Ray. Matt Ice Ray?
Esri.
Matt Esri. Coached by Matt Esri.
Cut. Back in 60.
Man, this is stressful as
I don't know. I don't think it's that bad.
Are you kidding me?
I've been telling you there's a lot easier ways to cut back on your stress, such
Well,
as
no.
reading self-help
No,
books
you
or
gotta-
something.
What you got, smoke, dude?
I-
This is what stresses me out.
I feel. Oh.
Hey, how are you?
Oh,
Good. It's going really good.
Yeah. What do you
Some
think?
good takes?
Yeah, really good.
Right
Great
on,
stuff.
right on. I'm so excited about the results.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Thanks.
for sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, that was close.
Lesleg Tobias. Lesleg Tobis. Leoline Tob. That's
Leslie
who
Tobis.
It. There's a G in her name. I don't think so. Lesleg Tobis.
All right, Rick. We're gonna do this one very easy. Very easy
Okay.
for
All right. Yeah. We
you.
got it.
Dan White.
Okay. All right. The fourth guiding principal, coached by Dan White, is going to be leading.
Dan White.
Coached by Dan White.
Say Dan.
Dan
Say White.
White.
Say his full name.
Dan White.
We'll do it live! How about it? We'll do it live! How hard is it to read a frickin' name, Jay? How hard?
And now we'll go live to Taylor Hollop out in the field to discuss the consolation bracket. Taylor,
Cut. We're back in 30.
can we get some makeup in here?
Yeah, come on.
These ugly blemishes on it. Make sure you
Sweating.
get this right
I'm
over
sweating.
here. Looks disgusting.
Thank you.
Get that tip of the nose. Yeah, cover out those. Get the butt. Yep, that's real good.
All right.
Keep,
Get
yeah,
him. Get him.
I'm
There
sick
he
of
is.
looking like a ghost on this freaking camera. Come on, make me a
Get 'em.
little darker. I
Yeah,
wanna be
you're making 'em
tasty.
beautiful. You're
Yeah,
making 'em
that's-
beautiful.
Okay. My ketchup match.